Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fortress of Comic News, episode 247. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside the real Magic Mike, my co-host, Mike.
Did I tell you that when I had to? Hey, everybody! Thanks for the intro. That just I get sidetracked sometimes. That rekindled a memory of mine. We'll talk about that in a second. Today we have a very awesome guest in the show. I'm not gonna mess this one up this time. We have Caitlin Yarskey on the show, artist for Image Comics. She's done Black Hammer Reborn with Mr. Lemire. She had a couple series, Bliss and Coyotes, that she did, or Coyotes. I don't know how you pronounce that, but
I think it's Coyote.
Okay, the Coyotes. I'm not so southern enough to determine that, but I'm just a New Yorker.
That's a series I wanted to read because I'm pretty sure it's about coyotes bringing people from Mexico to the States.
Oh, see here. I thought it was like a werewolf book. I haven't read it yet either.
I think there's some sort of supernatural bend, but I think that's supposed to be the.
Yeah. So stick around for that because her art's amazing. So to get that body dysmorphia horror artist into Black Hammer is pretty cool. Yeah. So stick around for that. But back to the Magic Mike story. When I was in Italy, a lot of people at I work for a company that has a lab in Italy, so I was there training with people, and one of the guys I befriended was his name was Patricio. He was from Ecuador, but he spoke Spanish, English, and Italian. And so one day I came back in, because I had been there for a couple of weeks. He had known me, and he was like, "Hey, Magic Mike," and that's what he would call me. And it started to catch on. People are laughing. I'm like, Patricio, do you know what Magic Mike is? Was that? I'm like, or were you just saying that because it's it rhymes with my first name? He goes, "Oh no, I know what it is," like the movie. I was like, "Great, thank you for that."
I feel like it was a compliment.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen the movie," and I'm like, "Oh my god." But there you go. So thanks for reminding me about that.
You're welcome. Yep. So have you ever bruised a shin before?
I haven't bruised a shin, but I was a soccer player, so I've definitely hit my shin quite a few times. But no, what does that entail?
So at my job, I parked my truck up next to this person's driveway so that the side door, I could just get out the side door and go right into the driveway. And the truck comes up to if I'm just standing next to it, the bottom of the door where the base of the truck is would come up to about my knees, maybe a little bit lower. But obviously this person's driveway is a little bit higher, and at the end it kind of dips. Now, everybody out there, we live in New York, so it's been 10 degrees out, so there's ice everywhere. So at the end of this person's driveway, when I'm walking back to the truck, there was still ice at the bottom of it. And I caught the ice and I slid down their driveway, kept my balance the entire time, but slammed both of my shins into the bottom of the truck and the doorway so that my feet got caught underneath, hit the truck, and I tumbled into the truck. So luckily nobody saw this.
This is like a cartoon, Home Alone moment.
It fucking hurt like hell, though.
I'm sorry, dude. That sounds like it hurts really bad, but
I put the pictures up on Twitter of my one shin that got just torn up. It was bleeding like crazy. I was constantly so after I got up, and because as you know, shin pain for some reason just is the worst.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's unbearable.
It just lingers. Yeah, and I was constantly trying to wipe the blood because I had my nice wool socks on, so I didn't want them to get all bloody. But then when I got through the rest of the day. This was in the morning, so I still had to do my entire shift. And I got home and I cleaned them up, and just my entire shin is one giant bruise, and it's still, both of them are bruised, but one's worse than the other, and it's still that way. It's just
Does it hurt?
It's the worst, yeah.
Oh man.
Especially since I drive for a living, so I have to use that muscle to move my foot back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's all tightened up now. It's
Jeez.
So I had a good week.
In case anybody's wondering, there's no news. There's no news. We're just talking about. We're going to talk about Chris's shins for the next hour. Dude, that sucks. Shin pain is the worst, and you're right. Like you rub the shin after you hit it on something, it doesn't go away. It just doesn't.
I was down for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the floor.
So did the person see you? Did they come out?
No, the entire street's empty. Like I didn't see anybody, so nobody saw me or anything. And I was like literally laying in the front of the truck for like a solid 5 minutes because it was just so much.
That's awful.
Like
I'm sorry, I'm
nasty,
laughing.
Disgusting floor of my truck. I was just lying there like, oh god, this sucks.
You have that moment where you're just laying there like. Actually, I did hit I bruised. Well, I cut my shin open when I hit that tree snowboarding a couple years ago.
I forgot about that.
I do know the pain, dude. Yeah, I forgot because I have a nasty scar of like a chunk missing out of my leg there. So
I'm sure that's what's going to happen with my right shin, but it's still not as bad as when I bruised my back. But
I can't imagine
up there was some of the worst, and I've broken bones. I sprained a muscle in my neck one time. Have I ever told you that story?
No.
So I was in 9th grade, and I was at football practice, and somebody clipped me from behind, which, to anyone that doesn't know, that's when they push you from behind into the ground.
Yeah.
And my head went straight into the ground, and it pulled a muscle in my neck. They call my father to say you have to pick him up. He's injured. Mm-hmm. They don't tell him how I'm injured or what's wrong. And my dad, who went to work every day on his Harley, picks me up on his Harley. So I then have to put a helmet on and drive in a Harley, which anyone who's ever ridden the back of a bike, like you're constantly like moving your neck around. I get there, the doctor they do the whole thing. The doctor pulls out the biggest needle I've ever seen, jabs it directly into my ass cheek. And that's supposed to be the painkiller for my neck.
I don't understand how painkiller for the neck goes through the ass.
I don't either, but this is what happened.
What the fuck? Okay.
And then they put me in one of those neck braces, but not like the plastic one, like the cushiony one.
Right.
So you can still kind of move, but you're still just like, you're still stiff. So I was out of school for like 3 days, and they sent somebody over with like all my homework and everything so I could do it over the weekend. Mm-hmm. And who do they send but my fucking high school crush? Like the girl I was fucking in love with. Uh-huh. And I just had to answer the door looking like shit with this neck brace like, hey.
Oh my god. Wow. Your life is like a Home Alone movie. That's great, dude.
Maybe Dinesh was right. Maybe I am the guy from Home Alone.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot he said that. Yeah. Wow. Where do we go from there? I don't even know. The amount of embarrassment and pain you must have felt. But alas, let's get into the little bit of news we have.
Let's do it.
So Amazon announced the premiere date for The Boys season 3. Season will launch June 3rd with 3 episodes, and the rest to follow every Friday after. There we go. Gotta wait till summertime, unfortunately, for season 3, but we all know I think the actors had some issues with COVID and traveling. I can't think of the main guy, his name, but
Carl Urban.
Yeah, Carl Urban was stuck over in England or something for a while. I remember that. So
yeah, because I think it's been almost 2 years.
Yeah,
because the last one premiered in September, but not this most recent.
Mm-hmm. So
it's been a while. It's been a while. But
it's been 40 years for South Park. Have you watched those specials yet?
No, I've been wanting to watch the COVID specials. I just haven't gotten around to them.
Shout out to Pat for getting me to watch them, but I subscribe to the month of Paramount Plus, but Paramount Plus only has the specials, doesn't have every South Park episode. So if you want to watch South Park, you got to subscribe to another thing. I don't know what, but if you
Are
want to
those
watch the
still on HBO
specials,
Max?
oh, maybe they're on HBO Max. Yeah, but HBO Max doesn't have the specials. The specials are exclusive to Paramount Plus. I don't know. It's a whole thing, but it's actually pretty hilarious. The whole like plot is like it's like 40 years later, COVID's still happening. But it's almost like the plot to It Part 2, where like the kids are older and they're like, someone dies and they're like, we got to go back to the town and figure this out.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of shit and stuff dealing with the future. That's like there's a lot of things that are like, we do this because it's the future, and it's like, oh my god, it's amazing. And instead of Jimmy Fallon, Timmy is Jimmy Fallon, pretty much older Timmy.
That's phenomenal.
Yes. So he goes to make a joke, and he's always like, what's the difference between a Jewish person and like a black person? He'll be like, they both can do anything they desire. He does all these like safe jokes. Like he starts off the joke like it's going to be extremely racist, and then he like says like, oh, a really safe answer to it, and it's not a joke. And he's like, that's because this is the future. Like they can't insult anybody. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, this is like really on the nose. Yeah, that like Jimmy Fallon does all the safe comedy.
That had me like when I saw it, I'm like, so Cartman's a rabbi.
Yeah,
that's all I need to know, and I'm in.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing.
Did you see that? I believe it's Paramount Plus is doing it too. That Mike Judge is doing new King of the Hill and a new Beavis and Butthead movie.
I did see the new Beavis and Butthead. I didn't know about the King of the Hill. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's doing the same thing with King of the Hill. It's going to be they aged in real time, so they're all older men now.
Wow, they're just going to be standing around the fence, the backyard.
King of the Hill is like one of my favorite shows ever, so I'm so excited for that.
I like Boomhauser. Is that his name? I like that guy. Because you can't understand anything he's saying.
For some reason, I really connect with Dale. Like, I'm not really sure why, but
oh, that's awesome. Did you watch Boba Fett this week, episode 2?
Oh yeah, I did.
Man, okay, so it's almost like Jon Favreau, which I know this isn't true. Like, listen to our podcast last week, and Chris say, I love the past stuff happening right after the Return of the Jedi more than the new stuff, because this episode was pretty much all past stuff, mostly, right? It's a nice little plot device they use when they're like, okay, we don't want to show any more, current event stuff, so we're just going to put him in the sleep pod and then go back in time. You're like, okay, he gets injured, go back. But I mean, the little bit we did see, I mean, that's what the episode starts off with, the present time. Dude, we saw a friggin' killer predator Wookiee with like dreadlocks. That shit was terrifying.
Black Kristan.
Yeah. Okay, so is that a character from some other?
So I'm not sure of his like original appearance, but he is in a lot of the comics.
Okay.
And he has a deep connection to Dr. Aphra. So I am just over the moon because when I saw him, like, Dr. Aphra's somewhere. Like,
yeah,
she's around somewhere now.
Right. She's pulling the strings.
Yeah, so he's just a bounty hunter Chewbacca.
Mm-hmm.
With
the coolest
black dreadlocks.
Ever. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, he's just standing there and they don't even like say anything, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure someone's gonna have to fight him later this season.
Well, so him and Boba Fett have a past. They've met plenty of times. They know of each other. So he knows of the reputation that comes with him. So that's why, like, when just the glances that Boba's giving him to me said so much, because I'm just sitting there going like, he knows what what an asshole this guy is and like what he's capable of. That's why when Wynn cocks the rifle, I was just like, oh shit, like it could get real serious real quick here.
I think the showing the two Hutt twins was disgusting. But it adds a little more like lore to the universe of like you can't just kill a Hutt. You need permission or something like that. Which was as like a fan that doesn't read many of the books, I didn't know that myself. So because they're like royalty or something like that.
Yeah, I hope they get more into the Hutt, like what the Hutts are, because the Hutts are like they're basically a mafia of sorts. Like they are a family, and they divvy out territory to each other. And Jabba was always like one of the top Hutts. Like he's one of the ones that everybody answers to. So that's why his death was so important. And it's a little weird that it took them so long to come down and do something. I'm assuming that like Bib Fortuna was working for them. And that's why they didn't give a shit. But but yeah, I hope they do get more into that because the Hutts are like more interesting than people know because they just know Jabba for
my favorite thing in that scene was watching the people lifting the Hutts, like their faces and like they're struggling under the weight of the two giant Hutts, but also knowing that like there aren't actually Hutts there, so these people are holding a platform pretending to struggle. You know what I mean? That's the best part.
And did you notice that the platform was bowing in the middle?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the best. Yeah, it was like sinking in the middle. It was amazing. And that was only like the first 5 minutes of the episode. It was like a 50-minute episode or something. It was pretty long.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It was basically a mini a Western movie. Like, if you take that out, that past tense was just a Western movie.
Yeah, the train heist. Yeah, I mean it was essentially a train heist movie. Where we get the whole reason like he bonds with the Tusken Raiders, and the whole like montage of him training them to ride a speeder bike was pretty amazing. And the whole train heist scene was awesome. Capturing those the people on the train and then like earning the respect of the Tusken Raiders, pretty awesome. That whole episode was just amazing.
And they kept that Western feel with some like real historical elements in there too. Like not to get too much into it, but when you watch the episode, you're like, okay, this is all about American imperialism in the 1800s. Like seriously, when the train goes by and they're just like shooting out of the train at which the whatever you want to call them, citizens of this country back then would shoot out of trains at Buffalo just because why the fuck not?
Right.
So like that scene, and then like and then the montage of like them learning the speeder bikes. I was just sitting there like going like, okay, so this is all about the natives, and now we're going to teach them to be a motorcycle gang so they can attack a train. Like this is awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
I loved the Western elements of it. They also brought back him making the stick was cool too because it's a callback to Mandalorian.
Yep.
But I also liked the callback to what the Tusken Raiders really were when Lucas made them, which was basically the Fremen from Dune.
Oh yeah,
because when he's like, "You're carrying spice, aren't you?"
Yeah,
and I'm just like, okay, now we're just punching it on the nose.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's exactly what it was when he's like the spice, and then they open it up, and it looks exactly like the spice from Dune. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, and that's what they are. They're the like the Fremen. So, that was pretty awesome to see that. And then the water too. You know, like I mean, because if anybody has read Dune, water is the most important thing to the Fremen. So, I think overall, great episode. It's
awesome episode.
So good.
I think it was better in the first episode, and that's saying a lot because I really liked the first episode. So I'm loving this show.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see where he goes from there. I don't know how much. They don't really tell you how much time has gone in between the Tusken Raiders and where he is now, do they? Between that and Mandalorian?
They don't tell you. I'm sure we could figure it out.
I think it's like 5 years or something like that.
Because, whatever it is, it's like, so the original flashback is probably, we'll say, days after the events of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure at some point they've told us how long it's been between Return and Mandalorian. So you could probably figure it out real quick.
Yeah. And was the Tashi Station, that was Tashi Station, by the way. in the episode where he goes and beats the shit out of those bike owners. I've never seen the deleted scene. I had to go on YouTube and watch it. There's a deleted scene where we see Tashi Station in A New Hope, and Luke is at Tashi Station, and he has these two friends there. And those two friends are the ones that are sitting at the table when Boba walks in, the two like normal looking humans there. And that's Tashi Station. So that was like a callback to that deleted scene because people were saying that online. I'm like, I've never seen this scene, so I had to rewatch it, and I was like, oh shit, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that one. That's all.
Yeah. So they actually show him at Tashi Station, and those two characters, I'm assuming it's supposed to be them because they look very similar, are like his friends, or like Luke's friends. But
I'm loving all the callbacks, all the. This show has done more world building than like most of the movies have done.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's been great.
Especially when you see written by Jon Favreau, you're like, that son of a bitch, he did it again. And they did the whole Animorphs thing with like throwing a lizard up your nose. That was kind of crazy.
That was the other thing. He went on a spirit quest.
Oh, a spirit quest. Yeah, like a Native American spirit quest. Yeah.
That's right. The entire episode, I'm just like, we are really punching home the whole Native American thing.
Oh,
which was cool. It really worked, and I loved it. But it's
comes back with a stick. He fought the Whomping Willow, and then he comes back. But no, overall amazing episode. All right, so let's hop over to this interview we have with Caitlin Yarskey, and we'll see everybody on the other side.
And we're back.
Awesome. So check out all the awesome things Caitlin's done and is going to be doing. So, what big fans of Black Hammer Chris and I are. I'm actually reading Black Hammer Reborn. I haven't caught up because there's just a pile of stuff I need to catch up on. So
I'm really behind on stuff too, but that's one that is on top of my pile to catch up on.
Yep. I did read the first issue though, so there we go. That's a start.
Yeah. I think I'm only 2 issues behind.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
Yeah. It's a great follow up to the story. I think there's a lot more story to tell there. So, comic news. There's a little bit here. Marvel has announced 2 new X-Men titles to add to their Destiny of X lineup. Oh boy. First is X-Men Red, written by Al Ewing and art by Stefano Caselli. The title will follow the events of Sword by the same team and is said to be a Game of Thrones style political drama set in Krakoa. You might have to lose me on that one. The second is Legion. They might have lost me on that one. The second is Legion of X, written by Cy Spurrier with art by Jan Bazaldua. This title will follow the events of Way of X and follow Nightcrawler as he forms a team to help implement the new mutant religion. Man, they're just going all over with these X-Men titles. Hickman's off of this, so are you even interested anymore?
Not really.
Yeah.
I haven't read it, but I got Inferno number 4, and that's the X-Men universe is done.
Okay.
I don't know. I did like Sword though, so I'll be honest. If any 2 books would interest me, it's these 2 because I love Sword and it's the same creative team just moving their story over to this, and I did enjoy Way of X as well. The whole idea of Nightcrawler, somebody who was a very devout Catholic trying to find religion in this like new world, was an interesting jam in my eyes. So they're both interesting story ideas. I don't know if I'm going to continue reading X-Men.
Yeah, there's a lot there to keep up with. DC has announced a new Black Label prestige-sized comic called Suicide Squad Blaze. It's a 3-issue series written by Simon Spurrier. Wait, didn't we just see him? Oh yeah, he's writing for X-Men. With art by Aaron Campbell. The team will be Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, King Shark, and Peacemaker. They will be tasked with teaming up with a government super team called Blaze to take down a meta-level threat. I might check this out. I'll probably buy it digitally. I don't know if I'll buy it because last week we talked about having to buy these prestige-sized formats, physical copies. But I love me some Suicide Squad, especially Peacemaker and King Shark are involved. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting that it's the same team coming in the new video game. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Yeah, interesting. When does that come out, by the way? Is that soon? I don't know.
It's got to be soon.
It's
They
this
just
year
showed,
sometime.
yeah, they just showed gameplay of it. So,
yeah, I'm definitely picking that game up for sure.
Yeah, well, I will too, just based on the developer. But I don't know, unless this book like blows your mind, I don't think I'll be picking it up.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like something like a DC Black Label is something that wouldn't be put out as a regular issue. You know what I mean? It's something like that's a almost like a risk or a jump for like you need to elevate the story. Like the Swamp Thing story is definitely not something. It's definitely more mature, and that you shouldn't like have in your normal Swamp Thing book. I think the Batman one is a twist on the story of Batman to where I don't think it would hold up maybe in a mainstream book. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I love the Suicide Squad, so I'll check it out. Image has announced that they signed an exclusive deal with Jeff Lemire. This means that creator-owned comics by Lemire make the next couple of years that he makes these creator-owned comics, they'll be published by Image. Good for him. I mean,
glad he's getting that money.
Yeah, give him that money.
This is my question, though.
Mm-hmm.
This is my statement / question. I believe this means no more Black Hammer.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's my question there is will he move Black Hammer? Like, can he move Black Hammer? Does Dark Horse have a stake in Black? I have questions about that in particular because I just love Black Hammer so much. Maybe Reborn is the end of his story. I don't know, but I think that's what that means for him because I believe that would mean he can't work with Dark Horse.
Yeah,
I'm actually. I should have looked this up. I'm not too familiar with how Image does their exclusive deals because I know if you sign with Marvel, for instance, you just can't work with DC. They don't care about anybody else,
right? Yeah,
and vice versa,
right?
But like, so does Image care if he like decides to go do a DC or Marvel book?
I mean, he still has 2 issues of Swamp Thing Green Hell to come out.
Yeah. Well, anything signed prior to the deal, he would have to be allowed to finish. But more worried about the coming years moving forward, what that means.
I guess we'll see.
But I've enjoyed his Image book, so
yeah, he's been killing it. Maybe he's going to take a long break. I mean, he has done a lot of Black Hammer stuff, so maybe he's just going to take a break from that.
I wouldn't blame him.
Let's see what I've read this week. I got some stuff that I need to catch up on. Night of the Ghoul #3. Great issue. This book is it's terrifying. It's very disturbing to read. It's disgusting. This, you kind of get a little more reasons of why, like the father is there with his son talking to this old director. The father he gets the son out of there because he thinks, this guy's crazy, and then he comes back and there's like this whole Order of the Fly that is protecting the ghoul, and it's really disgusting stuff. So yeah, he pretty much goes back to the hospital and finds out like, oh shit, like these guys are bad, and I should probably not be here. I read a couple of Hoy books. I cannot think of the name. It's Black something. I don't know if you've seen those books.
Black Mist?
Is it Black Myth? No, yeah, Blacksmith. Blacksmith. I've read a couple issues of that. The covers are fantastic. It's a great story about like a werewolf, like a different take on a werewolf that lives with a djinn, like a mystical I would say like genie. But they almost like hunt down other mystical creatures, and someone comes to them with like he hunts down mystical creatures like Bigfoot and all this crazy shit, and basically myths, urban legends he hunts down, and because they're detectives, he needs their help finding his silver bullets that he's lost, and these are like magical silver bullets that can kill any beast. So pretty interesting story. I just love supporting Ahoy Comics. So I caught up on Clear, number 3. That's a Scott Snyder, Francis Manapul book. That gives you a little more insight into the guy who's trying to investigate where his wife, how she died. We get this whole thing of it's like a reality that you see. It's a augmented reality that everybody has. I forget what they're called, screens or something like that. But his wife, we find out his wife was investigating ones that they could share with other people. So you wouldn't just have your own screen; you would be able to share with others. And then you find out that they had a kid together before she disappeared or died. Their kid died in a car crash, and so a lot more plot developments. A really good story. I can't wait to see what Scott Snyder does with it. I haven't read them yet, but I picked up a couple books to check out because I'm traveling next week, so I will catch up. Nita Ha's Nightmare blog. This is by the writer of. This is Rodney Barnes. He does Philadelphia. He has a horror comic on Comixology, so I'm going to check that out. I haven't read it yet. And then for the rest of my books, I did not get to Justice League Incarnate. I know you probably read it, right?
I didn't get to that this week either.
Okay, so we'll talk about it next week. Deathstroke Incorporated. I know you're not reading this book. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting. It's basically Black Canary and Deathstroke are kind of questioning, like, why are they helping this Dr. Multiverse? I think that's what she's called. I can't remember her name. It doesn't really matter. But they kind of set Black Canary up into like this whole facade of like, oh, she explains that, she's investigating them and working with Deathstroke, and then they're like, oh, this was a whole, like, this wasn't actually real. It was like a dream sequence Prometheus put you in, so you basically admitted that you're going against what we said. And then they end up so they get away from the headquarters of the place that they're trying to work for. Black Canary and Deathstroke do. They're at the Crooked House in the Ghost Zone. I don't know where they are, but before they were there, Black Canary and Deathstroke were actually fighting because she was like under a spell and not seeing reality, and she hits him with a canary scream, and so he falls over and says that he's dead. She says, "I killed him," so I don't think she's going to be dead. It says something about Black Canary facing his ghost in the next issue. I know it's called Deathstroke Incorporated. It's been a solid book. I mean, you gotta like Deathstroke, but it's definitely a different approach to the character.
Yeah.
This is Batman Volume 3, 119. This the B side of the story gives me 66 Batman vibes. I'm trying to pull it up here for you because no, this is the A side. I'm sorry, because that's the final page.
Love it.
So basically Batman, he finds out that Batman Incorporated killed Abyss, but he investigates the body, realizes it's not Abyss, and Abyss is there, and like he fights with Batman, and then he like slices Batman, like cuts him open with his scythe, and then he like blinds Batman. So that's him at the end saying it's too dark. So the cop that he's working with finds him and says it's too dark, so he can't see, and his eyes are all black. And then we have a B side where it's written and drawn by Carl Kerschel, and it's a new Robin story where Bruce Wayne is in this child's life, but she knows of Robin and makes her own like Robin costume. So it's like a whole new Robin, and like she meets Batman out, and he's like, you need to go home, and they end up like chasing these, like she's investigating her friend missing, and so is Batman. So they end up meeting out. It's a pretty good story. I like the new take on Robin. I'm not a very huge fan of any Robin, so when I see a new one, it's pretty interesting to me. And then I had Dark Knights of Steel, because this book, you have to read it every week.
Truth.
It's awesome. Where do we start? Dude, this book...
Can we start with the Metal Men?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Merry Metalmen. Yeah, so the Metalmen exist in this universe. They're just a bunch of people riding horses with different colored armor. Uh, and they work. They are sided with the Storm. I guess I don't know what they call it, like the Storm Liege, or the Black Lightning's side of.
Isn't it just the House of Storm
Yeah, the
or
House of
something like
Storm.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Supergirl's kind of pissed. So she's been going around after she murdered Black Lightning's son. She finds the Metal Men running around, and she just lays waste to all of them. She just murders all of the Metal Men, which was awesome. Because they don't have powers in this universe, so they just get murdered.
Yeah, I like had so much joy in that panel when they popped up. I'm like, this is such a great way to bring them.
Yeah.
They don't have to be an integral part of the story, but just
No.
like they show up and that's what they are. I loved it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then we get we have the part of the story that we know someone else has landed, like a pod, and that's where she was going, like a meteor, someone from the sky that's magical based. But then we see Black Lightning is going to Themyscira to chat with Wonder Woman and the Amazons to try to get them to side with him in the fight. And he basically says, like, Supergirl came and killed my son, and they know that Wonder Woman and her have a relationship. So he was pretty much putting a wedge between them, and that's what he was doing with their society, even if they don't join him to fight. As his ship is leaving, Supergirl catches up to them and destroys the ship and puts a piece of wood right through Black Lightning's heart and kills him, and tells Constantine that, like, you're the one that has to protect us, and that his daughter is the next in line, is the queen now. And then you have Batman and Alfred investigating the ship or whatever, the meteor that crash landed, and we see a piece of kryptonite, and the kryptonite actually hurts Batman because we know he was son of Jor-El, a bastard son, and we suspect that he doesn't have powers, but the kryptonite harms him, so he might have superhuman abilities, and I guess we'll find out next issue. This story is just so awesome.
Yeah. So do you think that the meteorite was just kryptonite, or do you think somebody came down with it?
I think something else was there with it. I mean, it has to be.
I think Zod came down with it.
Zod? Yeah, that would be sick. That would be awesome. Because if it's going the normal timeline of Superman, like, Zod should be there by now. That would be sick.
Yeah. So
that's all I had.
Fucking great book.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Other than that, I read World of Krypton #2. We get the trial of the L that tried to kill Jor-El and everybody else. And that's also when we learn that the reason Jor-El created the Phantom Zone projector was he was actually looking to send all the Kryptonians to a different dimension.
Okay.
To try to save them. That was his original plan. And he creates the Phantom Zone projector accidentally and decides that he doesn't want it to be used, that it's too dangerous to be used for anything. But that's when Zod comes and is like, this is a cool toy, let's use it for prison.
Oh, nice.
And so that's the first trial that uses the Phantom Zone projector, which is a cool moment. And then it's a lot of just like Zod and his wife Jor-El and his wife talking and trying to figure out like how they're going to save Krypton and what they should do. All in all, so I read both issues this week. I know you didn't really care for it. I'll say this. I love Oming's art, but he's not the best fit for this book.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think he has just a very unique style that like works for certain things. Like I love Powers, and I think he's great for a book like that.
Right.
But I'll keep reading it. I did enjoy it. I enjoy what the kind of the intrigue and the back and forth, and then like the little moments of like the Phantom Zone projector and all that are cool to experience as well.
Yep.
And then I have Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal #8. This is the last issue of this series.
Okay.
Really fun series, everybody. You should check it out. But Spoilers for the ending, if you want to. So Marjorie and her sister like go to find the evil, what is he called, the Master of Evil or something like that. And his friend Stan, who is a red-skinned devil-looking person who isn't the ultimate evil. It's an ongoing joke throughout the book. And they find out that what his plan is to take this machine and go back in time and replace images of God with the ultimate evil, so that people worship evil throughout time. And that's when they kind of bust him up and are like, no, you're not going to do that. In the middle of it, Marjorie falls into the portal and she becomes the image of God. So now everybody in the timeline worships Marjorie Finnegan as their savior. So all the religions have a version of Marjorie that they worship. And it's a great ending because not only does they thwart the bad guy, they save the world, but Marjorie gets hers too because now she can't jump through time because every time she goes somewhere, she's recognized as God.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't work.
So she's going crazy because she can't do what she loves to do. And you just see her at the end of the book in like the bubble outside of time where she lived. And her sister Harriet is sitting there basically enjoying the life that Marjorie had. And Marjorie's on the outside like begging her to help. And throughout the book, like Marjorie would screw over her sister. So it's kind of just like a great comeuppance for the end.
Wow.
Love that book. It's 8 issues. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, it nails the ending.
Cool.
Big spoilers for the next book, too, because I can't talk about without spoiling it. Thor number 20. So, if you remember at the end of the last issue, Thor and Odin go to the dwarf planet to try to find out what happened to Mjolnir. And they find that somebody killed all the dwarves, and they killed them with a hammer.
Okay.
So we pick up this issue with that, and Thor's burying every individual dwarf and like giving them a funeral. And that's when him and Odin started arguing over like wasting time and trying to save everything. And then that's when Loki grabs them and transfers them to Jotunheim, where they just land and there's a bunch of dead frost giants. And Loki informs them that whoever did that on the dwarf planet also killed a bunch of frost giants here. So now all the realms are blaming Asgard and Thor for going on a murderous rampage. Rightfully so, because Mjolnir is killing everybody.
Right.
So they come up with a plan, blah, blah, blah. And that's when Sif comes and informs Thor that something's happened on Midgard. And they go back to Midgard and they find out that same person destroyed Broxton, which, to anyone that knows Thor backstory, at one point Asgard was planted on Broxton. That's like kind of his hometown on Earth, so to speak. So it's basically just a direct slap in his face. And when he gets there, he's, upset and he's trying to figure out who did this. And that's when the God of Hammers comes down and decides to face him face to face. And what he finds out is that the God of Hammers is actually Mjolnir personified. So what I'm thinking is at the end of the Jane Foster, The War of the Realms Thor, when she threw Mjolnir into the sun to destroy it and captured like a bunch of spirits within it, she created some sort of evil that is the God of Hammers.
Cool.
Fucking awesome.
That's awesome. That sounds really cool. Wow. I'll have to read it.
Shocking that Donny Cates can write a good book.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah. But that was everything I have this week, Mike.
Awesome.
Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you under the show?
They can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter, and they can find the show at FortressComics _ on Twitter. Everybody to like, subscribe, share, comment down below on YouTube, to give us a 5-star review whenever podcatcher you use. And if you want to go the extra mile, patreon.com/FortressComics. Thank you so much all for listening this week, and we'll see you all here next week.